Hi, this is Peggy at Headshots by Peggy, and today I have the amazing Meosha Bean with me. So, in case you haven't seen any vlogs with Meosha Bean before, go back and watch them because we always have a blast. I always love having Meosha on here. So, you are an actor. You are an amazing filmmaker, a director. You're one of the films that you directed is like winning all sorts of crazy awards all over the world. So you're like got a lot of stuff going on right now.
I do. It's really cool.
And you're a woman.
I am.
We say that because you know we talk about women in the industry, and you know last time you were on we talked about some of the crazy stuff that happens and that you know it's a real thing and that you know it's something to be aware of.
Definitely.
But today I want to talk about your horror genre stuff that's going on. So I know that you have in the past made several little horror films, and that's kind of you know you really enjoy that.
I do.
But you were in a documentary.
I was.
What an honor! Tell us about that.
It's really funny. Horror noir. It's actually about black actors. You know the stereotypes of us dying first. So we're taking a look at black horror filmmakers in the beginning of time, from like Oscar Mescal to where we are now with Jordan Peele with Wouldn't Get Out for that. So it's like really very interesting things that I learned. I never knew about black cinema, especially in horror, the horror genre.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I was like, oh, I have to watch this movie. I haven't seen this, and I didn't know about this, and it was an honor to be a part of it. I got asked to be a part of it, and they called me and they were like, hey, how do you feel about talking about black horror films from on camera? And I'm like, I'm down. Let's go. So then next thing you know, I show up on set, and here I am.
That's cool. That's cool. And your picture's in a magazine.
It is in a magazine. That's pretty gnarly. That was really cool, and that happened through this documentary. This documentary opened so many doors because it's a part of. I mean, the cast is pretty crazy. Rachel Truth from The Craft. You have Keith David, who's like a legend in the game. You have Candyman, Jordan Peele, not to forget. I mean,
kind of a big deal. Kind of a big deal, right?
Yeah. So that kind of opened the door, and then here the magazine, comes up. We're at Barbara Crampton, who's like has this story in Fangoria Magazine, if you're familiar with it. And I got to be a part of that, so that was really, really fun to be, amongst those names, and it's still I'm just pinching myself. So
I mean, cool. Isn't that true though? I mean, if you think about it, like even 5 years ago, would you have ever dreamed that you would be?
Nope.
And it's really because I mean, it's not that you did anything special. You just followed your passion.
That's it.
You did what you love, and you did it wholeheartedly.
Yeah. Like
you went to school, you trained, you paid your dues, you worked. Like every time, like, we used to hang out all the time.
Yeah.
And now
this is my girl.
And now she's like, well, I'm shooting. Well, I would love to hang out with you and Mary, but
never. I always have time for you guys.
So it's good though. It's good that you're busy. I love hearing about all the projects that you're doing, and you've got a project that you did that's up on. Is it on Amazon yet, or is it coming out on Amazon?
Oh, Anatomy?
Yeah.
It's not out yet. We're still working with this distribution deal out. So, but we do have it. So we're just trying to figure all this stuff. It's a lot. Yeah. It's a lot.
So I mean, you're not this huge, you're not Fox Studio, you're not, you're Meosha Bean. And, there's a lot of you that are watching this that's like, the same level. Like, hey, it's real. You can make it happen.
Yeah, you can.
I'm a big believer in the way you do anything is the way you do everything.
I love that.
And so if you treat your hobby, your business, your passion for real. Like, don't take it lightly. Don't be late to things. I'm not getting paid for this, so like if you have that attitude, you're not going to grow. But if you have the attitude of, I'm going to do my best every time I'm out there. I'm going to, you know, I love this. I want to show, I want to be my best. Then that's when you end up in a magazine and in a cool documentary and, you know, winning awards all over the world. And so that's really cool.
It's really cool. I actually have a few questions of my own for you.
Oh, for me?
For you.
Did you not get the memo that I was interviewing you?
Yes, I got the memo. But guys, you know, how many times have you seen her interviewing people? But, you know, it's me. I'm going to switch it up this time. I feel like it's needed.
All right.
How do you feel about this?
Well, I am the one that edits.
On the spot. On the spot.
All right, ladies, let's go.
So as far as like, you know, I know that you're a photographer. You're amazing. You know, she's amazing. If you guys don't know, you know, obviously we know. I'm sure you get this question a lot, like why you started, but like how do you set yourself apart as far as like a photographer?
Well, you know, when I moved from San Diego to LA, I got that a lot. It was like, oh, so much competition. And I'm like, there's really no competition. There's 4 million people that live in LA.
Just 4 million.
And I mean, what I bring to the table is different than what other photographers bring to the table.
Yeah.
And some people, probably if you're watching this, you think I'm cool enough to hang out with, but some people don't. I know it's weird, but some people don't like me. So, you know, I think that what sets me apart is that I really, really care about my clients. Like,
I love that.
I want them to succeed. Like Mary can attest to this. I get text messages and emails saying, you know, I got an audition, you know, right after they just uploaded their new headshots, and they start getting auditions, and maybe they haven't had auditions for months and they're frustrated and they're thinking it's them. And then, you know, we talk and we figure out a strategy, and we figure out, you know, if they have, you know, representation, you know, we talk to the representation, we really get a game plan. And we get headshots that are marketable, and all of a sudden they're like boom, 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 you know. And I literally like love when I get emails and text messages. Like,
so you care.
It's really like, it's not. Of course, I like the money. I'm not, you know, this is my career. This is my job. This is what. But I don't do it for the money, if that makes sense, because I've always been passionate about it.
Yeah.
And that's why I do this vlog, is because there's so many aspects of this, and if I can give you something that's going to help you succeed, then you're going to make money, and you're going to have money for new headshots.
That's true.
You know, I mean, to me, it's all about, you know, if I succeed, you succeed, and then, you know, it's just a circle, you know.
Yeah.
I love it when I have other photographer friends that, you know, are doing amazing stuff.
That's awesome.
And, you know, I love to hear that, you know, their clients are working, and I love to hear that they're busy, and I love to hear it because I don't feel like, you know, this world is so full of hate.
Oh, I know.
And, you know, it doesn't have to be like that.
It doesn't.
I mean, we're colleagues. We're not, you know, we're not like only one person gets the gold medal.
Yeah.
This isn't a track meet, you know. There's a lot of actors, and I'm not a fit for all of them. So if I'm not a fit for you, find the one that is a fit for you.
Right.
And, you know, and you know, work for it. I'm a fit for a lot of people. But, you know, some people I don't want to take pictures of either. You know, I don't want them in my studio either, because, you know, if you know, why do we, you know, just for their money? Well, that's kind of unfair. That's unfair to them.
That's true. Yeah, I like that. Also, just out of curiosity, like, is it, obviously every photographer is different, but what would you suggest as far as like equipment? You know, is there a kind of camera they should start off with, or does it matter with what you shoot on?
Well, you know, there's a big, if you know me, it's a big joke, and because that's a Canon, that's her camera, and that's a Sony.
Sonys are better.
And I'm a Sony shooter.
It is.
I love Sony. I think the sensors are just so amazing, and, you know, I feel like you get a lot more bang for your buck. Before I went digital, which I went digital really early, but before I went digital, I was a Nikon shooter, and
Nice.
I love Nikon glass. I think it's, I can literally see it, Instagram pictures or whatever. I can tell you who's a Nikon shooter. I love the feel of a Nikon glass, but That said, I would never go back to Nikon because, you know, Nikon uses Sony technology.
Right.
So, you know, Sony's kind of always going to be a little bit above and beyond. And for the money, you just can't beat the technology that Sony gives you. And
Absolutely.
Sony has just, you know, I laugh and I say, you know, I've been with Sony since the beginning.
Yeah.
And, you know, I stayed with them through the dark ages. There were some years that Sony, it was like, but now, you know, they've come up and shown themselves to be top
That's
of the
awesome.
line. And for video as well, not just still.
Oh, actually, yeah, that's right. Sony is really good with video.
Sony is amazing.
Very good.
Amazing.
Very good. They shoot really 4K now and
Yeah.
flat.
They
which
shoot
I love.
6K and then they compress it down to
wow.
4K. So I'm just saying.
No, I love it. I actually love it. Another question. I'm just curious because I know a lot of photographers who like are starting, but they don't really know their like how to start. If you can like I don't know like when you have a client, how do you have like some like idea of how you're gonna shoot them or where you're gonna shoot them or like do you already have an idea?
Well,
It just kind of
you have to understand, I've had a camera in my hand for over a lot of years, almost 40 years. I've had a camera in my hand, but I've been professionally doing this for 30 years.
Yeah.
So a lot of stuff, to me, the second I see a person, you know, my brain is like, you know, I'm looking at the contour of their face. I'm looking at the jawline. I'm looking at their cheekbones. I'm looking at the eyes. Do they have deep, you know, inset eyes? Do they have bulgy eyes? Do they have one eye bigger, one eye smaller?
I see.
Like, you know, is there one ear sticking out? The second I see you, this is what I'm looking at. So when I'm like, hi, I'm Peggy, I'm like, oh, you have a big ear. No, it's true. And I'm always thinking, you know, how can I accentuate that? Because a lot of times, you know, for your Facebook and your Instagram, you want to minimize your flaws, but for your headshots, sometimes you want to maximize those flaws.
I see.
Because you want to stand out. You want to be that person that has, you know, that has that look that's different.
Right.
Because, you know, there's lots of pretty girls and lots of pretty boys in LA. But it is, you know, that's something that's different, that's eye-catching, that's like, you know, what is that? And so I'm always telling my clients, like, do not ever be ashamed of your quote-unquote flaws, because that's your uniqueness. That's what makes you marketable.
That's true. That's true. I like that. I like that. I mean, because I'm sure you've gotten all types of skin types and people, and it's, you know, so I would think, you know, shooting a certain, like, I know for me personally as a filmmaker, when you're shooting a certain, sometimes it could be, you know, say if African-American actor on camera, I light it differently because, you know, the color of the skin, it depends on, you know, or whatever. But I just wonder, that applies also for photography.
Absolutely. And, you know, a lot of times, you know, I have a lot of, I've always had a lot of diversity that I've worked with since the beginning. When I was trained, the guy that I interned with, that was one of the first things he taught me is how to photograph dark skin, because
awesome.
you know, with film it's a little different, but it's still the same concept.
Right.
You know, you know, clearly light you know, your camera registers the reflection of light. So when you have dark skin that's not reflecting the light, what do? How do you know, compensate for that? How do you compensate for this, you know? And, you know, because I'm just about as pale as they come. And, you know, so you have to know, you know, what, you have to know what, you know, what, you know, to do to help, you know, bring that out.
Definitely.
And so, yeah, it's always, you know, I always tell people, don't be afraid to go to a new photographer, but also know what you're getting, because, you know, if it's just somebody that just got a camera, they don't understand body types probably. They don't understand lighting. They don't understand, you know, how to accentuate things and minimize things.
Right.
They don't understand how to do those things. So that's why it's important. If, you know, your headshot, biggest part of your marketing strategy. This is what's going to get you in the door, and that's what you want to go cheap on?
No, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Definitely not worth it. Any like, I mean, as far as like, advice you would give to people who like, all right, what can I do to start? If they don't have the money, they don't have the training to do it, what would you suggest that person go do?
For like to start acting?
Or photography.
To start photography? Well, read.
That's good.
You know, back in the day when I started, they had these things called books. Don't be alarmed. They're just like PFP. I can't even talk. Anyway, but they're made with paper.
Yes.
You know, and because I learned with film, I didn't get to see it instantly or toss on my computer. So I had a notebook and I would take notes. I would, you know, I would take a picture and I would write down my settings, and I would take the same picture with different settings. And then when the film came back from the mail, I would go through, you know, and look at my prints, and, you know, I would keep notes, and that's how I learned. Now it's so much easier. It's literally, you can go click, nope, that didn't work. All right, click, oh, cool, I get it, you know. There's YouTube videos that you can watch. There's, you know, there's so much advice, but knowing your equipment is absolutely, I mean, when I was a kid, this is almost embarrassing to say out loud, but I've started, so here we go. When I was a kid, I slept with my camera, okay?
Aww,
I mean, I just like, I loved my camera so much. Like every free moment was, you know, I drove everybody nuts. I was the weird kid that carried the camera at school and like, yeah.
How cute.
But seriously, when you're passionate about it, that's, that's definitely what you should do. And trial and error and play and find things. But being a good photographer of people and knowing your equipment are two different things, because you can be the most technical shooter in the world, which I'm not. Like, I'm not a super technical shooter. Like, I know exactly what I need to know to handle any situation. Right. But I don't go out and I don't do macro shots. I don't do butterflies and bugs, and I don't do landscape, and I don't go play with, you know, long exposures very often. There's always that little vacation that you do, but you know, that's not my specialty. But my specialty is knowing my equipment to where I don't even have to think about it, to where I can spend all of my time right here, because I feel like a good photographer is able to put you at ease, pull out the emotion they want, whether it's anger, whether it's compassion, whatever it is for that headshot, you know, to be able to pull that out and then capture it, know at what moment, because, you know, it's that macro expression between here and here.
Love that.
And you have to know that second, that microsecond to get that and to feel that. And so a lot of being a good portrait photographer or headshot photographer or anything to do with people is knowing how to read people, knowing how to, you know, to pose them without making them feel posed, because nobody likes to be posed. Yeah, nobody likes the whole, like, everybody hates that because it feels weird.
Yeah.
So you have to know how to pose them and get them to do what you want them to do without them realizing that they're doing what you want them to do.
Wow. That was a lot right there. That just, that was mind-blowing what you just said. I'm going to put that on the screen. No, that's awesome. That's great. There's so many questions I can ask, but I mean, obviously I'm sure you've had it all, right? All the questions in the world. But like,
no, Meosha, I normally don't get interviewed. Thanks for putting me on the spot on my own show.
On our own show, guys. This is where it happens.
This is what a professional filmmaker and interviewer and...
Well, you know, and what can I say?
Yeah. So, do you still have your series going where you interview women in the industry? Do you still have that? Is it closed? Is it still going?
It's still going, but right now I've been so focused on, you know, other projects. I just haven't had the time to book. But I have people like that are interested, so I have them like, you know, lined up.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll get back to you when season 4 starts.
So tell me about that project, and tell me what your passion and why you do that, and what you've learned, because that's why I love doing interviews, because I learned so much.
Oh.
And you know, so I know you've learned a lot with all these women you've interviewed.
Yeah, it's been a fun journey. I think for me, it's just having a safe place to. Yeah, I know a lot of women. I find that it's so interesting to hear like their stories. I think people need to hear these stories, because it's a lot of us out here that need that encouragement. Who are women? They're like, how do I?
A lot of women feel like they're alone, and then when you talk to someone else, it's like, oh, you've experienced the exact same thing.
Exactly.
oh, they made you feel like that, or oh, that happened to you. So
exactly.
yeah.
So that's why I came up with Women Talk with Meosha. It's like
Women Talk with Meosha. Sorry guys, I totally forgot what it was called. And it is on YouTube.
It is on YouTube. Also, it is on a few other platforms because YouTube only is a certain, I think, countries can't see it still. So I have it on different platforms, which is for everybody to watch. So if you can't find it there, Google it.
Yeah.
But that's been really fun because I like to have actors, directors, writers, people who are inspiring to be, models. Just to hear their stories and their struggles and being a woman, so we have that in common,
right?
They have a conversation. I find it very interesting and really fascinating, really. So I've learned so much.
Now I feel personally as a photographer, it's important for me to know at least a little bit about everything.
Yeah.
Like if I'm going to be a good headshot photographer, I need to know how the acting world works. Because how can I help you if I don't understand it?
That's true.
And I feel the actors should know what the camera crew's job is,
True.
what the producers do, what directors do.
Yeah.
I think as an actor, anytime you have an opportunity to jump in there and do something that you've never done before, do it.
Right.
Because it's going to expand your mind.
Oh yeah.
And it may be something you all of a sudden are like, oh my God, I love it.
Yeah.
Or it may be something you're like, I hate this. I'm never going to do it again. But now I understand. And now when somebody says something, I'll be like, oh, I get what they're saying.
Yeah.
This is terrible. So, I think you should do. Now, you just recently did something that was out of your comfort zone, something that you were like, no, I'm not a writer.
Oh, I was like, wait, what did I do?
What did I do? What does she know?
Yeah, I was like, what do you know about me? I was a little afraid. Woo! Oh man.
But yeah, you started writing something, right?
Yes, I did.
And what are your feelings about writing and being a writer?
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's terrifying because I have all these ideas and they're just jumbling. Because my job is to shoot other people's ideas.
Yeah.
And after a while, you're just there like, I want to make my own.
Yeah.
I feel like they're really good, and so I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna start writing. I'm gonna get started and to make my own, because I think my ideas are kind of far out and I haven't seen those yet. So
yeah. So that's pretty cool.
Journey. Yeah.
So I know that I've talked to you a couple times while you were writing. You're like, oh, but it's a process. You have to learn. You have to just be dedicated and do it like you do everything else, wholeheartedly. And so we're excited to see how this all comes out, because some exciting things in the works.
Oh, very, very exciting things in the works. But there also is IMDb. I think they have like movies scripts.
Oh yeah.
Online that you can download the entire script of the movie.
Oh yeah.
And like look at the format. And so that's what I've been doing. I downloaded.
Is it kind of like teaching yourself how to do it?
Yeah, literally like Hereditary. Have you? Okay. I got to look. There's a film called Hereditary, and it's a horror film, of course. Obviously, it's my genre, and it was an amazing film. So I went and I looked it up and I downloaded the entire script, which is available for everybody to download. So I went and I just read it, and I was like, oh, I see the pacing, the time, and how they there's pauses and there's quiet moments, and I'm like, oh, that makes sense. So I kind of want to get some inspiration to follow that guideline, at least for my stories, and not take their script, but
So horror movies have never been my genre of choice. And and it's funny because my older son and daughter both love horror movies. And of course Merrick loves horror movies, and so Josh and Merrick had got me, convinced me to go to this movie, which I was horrified to watch. I went and I was like, it's not even scary. And I was like, wait, I've been scared of horror movies, thinking that I didn't like horror movies. And so then when Us came out, Merrick's like, I'm going to see Us. And I was like, okay, the previews scare the crap out of me.
Wasn't it though?
The previews were creepy. Yeah. I mean, it was creepy, but it was an amazing story. I was like, okay, maybe horror is my genre, and I didn't know it.
See?
It's like, I didn't know I liked this. So I have watched a total of 3 horror movies in my whole life.
Oh my God.
But I don't know, I think anybody that's older than her What do you think? Were horror movies scarier in the 70s? I mean, the original thing, was that not like, because that was my first horror movie. And
Really?
It scared the, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And there's like, no, to this day, I'm not a fan of clowns.
Wow. And it was your second.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, all right. That's enough about Peggy's horror movies. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
That's really awesome.
Yeah,
Meosha, I always love having you come on.
Oh, me too. It's so fun. I always have a good time.
Do you want to talk about anything else? Tell us about anything else going on, or you think we're good?
Well, I think we're good. I just, we're excited for Anatomy.
Yeah.
That's been killing it in the festival.
Oh my God!
And
it's like if you're on my social media, they're like posting all the time. It's like
wow.
Oh, it won best film. It won best action. It won best. I'm like,
what?
Wow.
Yeah, it's been.
And I filmed 2 scenes in that.
She did. And you took tons of photos.
I did a bunch of behind the scenes. Yeah.
So she's a part. She's
I'm
a part of the story. Oh my God.
But yeah, that was fun. That was a fun project to work with.
That was really fun.
So yeah, well, it's so great to have you on, and I'm going to leave all your social media stuff down here so people can follow you and keep posted on what you're doing.
Yeah.
If you're a filmmaker and up and coming, follow her. If you're just a cool person, follow her, because she's got so much going on. You just always have so many great things happening for you. I'm so proud of you. Yay! So go to the link below. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube, follow her, do all these things. Leave me tons of comments, share this video, and most importantly, have an amazing day. I'll see you next week.